You don't have to be concerned about the Fed's balance sheet anymore. Former Fed President Bill Dudley has literally said, quote, "Stop worrying about the Fed's balance sheet. I feel better now. Time to buy the dip, I guess." Well, if you prefer, you can look at the statistics and see that it's ultra important to reallocate capital regardless if there's more alpha to seek. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. You know, there's a trigger event that precedes every crisis. Nobody knows where it will come from. Generally, there are people who are way too early, and there are most people that are often way too late. And it's a simple matter of fact. You can look at the statistics, you can try to predict it, but ultimately, nobody really knows what that trigger event is going to be. So, of course, you have all of these individuals out there who pile on everything to the absolute maximum in hopes to get more and squeeze some more out of it, but oftentimes they push too hard and they end up getting burned. This has come to a time in which we are late in the cycle here in early 2019, but everybody is still waiting for what could actually trigger the next financial crisis. We're going to look today at the Federal Reserve. I'm going to show you the quotes directly from the Fed president. I want to get into the details of corporate bonds. So there's a lot in this video. I'm going to try to bring it to you as quick as I possibly can. So let's begin by taking a look at this. This is actually written by Bill Dudley, and it's an article out of Bloomberg. Stop worrying about the Fed's balance sheet. Financial types have long had a preoccupation. What will the Federal Reserve do with all of the fixed income securities it purchased to help the U.S. economy recover from the last recession? The Fed's efforts to shrink its holdings have been blamed for various ills, including December's stock market swoon and any new nuance of policy, such as last week's statement on, quote, balance sheet normalization is seen as a really big deal. And don't worry about it, everybody, because he said this: "I'm amazed and baffled by this. It gets much more attention than it deserves." He goes into the details, and actually I would like to do a video just reading this whole thing. But essentially what he said was that the Federal Reserve's actions by printing up this $4.5 trillion and buying up what they did, the treasuries, buying up the securities, and going on for years and years, keeping them on their balance sheets, they admit the fact that this helped, or at least they suggest the fact, that it helped out the markets, okay? And then we come time to pull away from that, and he suggests it had nothing to do with what we are seeing. Don't overreact. He also mentions the fact that December was the problem. You can go further into the article and see that. He's always pointing at December, and obviously we saw an exaggeration of that swing down in December, no doubt, but the problems began in October. Nobody wants to highlight that. We can even go back further. What about January into February of 2018? Are we forgetting about that already? Remember, don't look at the S&P 500 as a whole. Don't look at the NASDAQ as a whole. We need to see the actual global markets, and then you start to see what happened. There were very, very few stocks that went up in between that point and, let's say, February to October. Very few of them actually did well. So many of them were at their 52-week low, but let's not talk about that. Let's just focus on the positives. That's what they want, right? We've got some problems right now that are present with the Federal Reserve and their idea that it's okay to buy up all of these different types of assets. This is very dangerous policy because they will end up owning everything, and people don't care, and they are very short-sighted. You must acknowledge the fact that the central banks are foreign institutions that are printing up currency out of thin air, destroying the value of that which you earn, and then you can see potentially assets in certain areas, not necessarily where you invest, but assets that rise nominally as a result. It's possible, definitely. However, the distortions that they create always end up with this wild, crazy event that nobody expected. But if we didn't have the central bank intervention every single cycle, then things would be a lot easier. The downturns will not be as bad. You wouldn't have this problem that we are faced with today. I just saw a video with Gary Vaynerchuk, who you might know, Gary V, an individual who shouldn't be talking about the financial issues, and even he was warning about the potential that is going to come. He said basically the next financial crisis is going to be a lot worse than what we saw in 2008, and he made it specific. We papered over the problem, and therefore it's going to be worse next time around. Now, that's something that I've always said, and I think it rings true more so today than ever before. They're doing it right now. The Federal Reserve is trying to tell you that they are not listening to what we as individuals desire. We want the markets to remain stable, and they don't do that. If you think stable is what we saw in 2018, you've got something else coming. Look at the global central bank balance sheet versus the S&P. If you don't understand that this is directly correlated, there's something wrong with your eyes. You gotta go for an eye exam. Definitely check that out because something's not right there. This is a complete correlation and you need to see it. You need to understand it. I want to focus on this every single video if I can. If anybody has any criticisms of this at all, put them in the comments below so everybody can see. I want to know that. In rate cutting cycles during the past 30 years, the Fed has cut 375 basis points on average. The Fed funds today is only 2.5%. What does that mean? Well, potentially we're going to go into the negative next time around. And this is a very big problem. We are seeing Europe today as a result of their negative interest rate policies suffering. It's not good. It has actually been very, very bad. Europe, unfortunately, doesn't look very promising for the foreseeable future. It's probably just going to get worse and worse and worse. The sovereign debt crisis is really still unfolding today. Now you look at what they've done, and I've mentioned this many times before. As you can see in the previous crises, they've never been able to get back to where they were, and based on what they're showing here, they're probably just going to have to bring this interest rate aside for a while until the markets fall. There's no possible way that they'll ever be able to get out of this mess until they basically go in, print up excessive amounts of money and create an inflationary crisis that nobody apparently was expecting. This is interesting as well. If you could see the different support lines in here on the top part of the chart, but I really wanted to stress what we see with the RSI, and I have found this to be very true. Now you looked at what happened in October, in December, and it might be a little difficult, but I'll just show you on here. This portion here, we became oversold. And you could see that. Very clear. That was something that I talked about all throughout November into December. That was apparent. You can see this with the RSI leading as well into December, but guess what? We are now overbought, extremely overbought, in fact. So it always exaggerates to one direction or another. And I think that it is very important to watch these type of indicators to give you an idea. Persistent outflows since October despite the recent rally. Very interesting when you see the blue line, the cumulative US equity flows, and the green line being the S&P 500. While there has been a lot of outflow, the S&P 500 changed course at the end of December and has risen ever since. This is very interesting. Many people believe it's a short covering. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, of course, but I think that it's important to pay close attention. Now, there's something called buy the dip, something I talk about all the time. I joke about it. But essentially, if you had done buy the dip throughout 2018, it failed 4 out of 5 times. If you did the same thing from 2013 to 2017, it worked 9 out of 10 times. So that right there shows us the difference in between these years. Very interesting to say the least. You could see it on the chart here. I'm not going to go into all the details. There's way too much to cover today. Big short investor eyes new threat to the financial system. Market for BBB bonds has exploded since the financial crisis. So we'll look at this. I mean, this article is obviously very long, and I think it's important to highlight, not because Steve Eisman talked about it, but simply because this is an issue that has expanded. Many individuals in the financial industry have brought this up as being a potential concern, but they say it's far down the road. The market for BBB rated bonds, the lowest rung of investment grade, has exploded in size since the financial crisis. Outstanding BBB rated issuance has grown from $750 billion at the end of 2007 to about $2.7 trillion now, as debt-laden companies have been kept alive by low interest rates and a generally improving economy. I disagree with the second part. However, he said the size isn't the problem. He says it's that banks have cut their trading inventories of BBB bonds by about 80% to $20 billion as they tried to comply with tougher rules on capital and liquidity. With the traditional market makers on the sidelines in the next recession, he said that the only way to sell BBBs will be at painfully deep discounts, forcing big mark-to-market losses on funds holding them. This I find to be very interesting. There's more to it here. Just wanted to give you an idea of what the charts look like. You can see it, the gray area being the BBB, and you could see the expansion on that. It is unbelievable. Now, as I said, it's not necessarily the size that's the problem, but it does highlight the importance of this particular so-called asset, and they've only really expanded as the years have gone on. Given BBB debt now makes up a big slice of the major indices investors benchmark their performance against, the fear is that a tougher economic backdrop triggers a wave of downgrades that unleashes forced selling. Imagine the cascade, the snowball effect that we would experience here. We're not talking about the worst of the worst subprime mortgages, CDOs, and things. This is BBB, okay? So that obviously may just begin. It might be the trigger to a bigger crisis. It doesn't mean that because that falls down, suddenly you have a problem. Remember, what we found out in 2008 is that these companies are so intertwined and interconnected that one falls, and then the other one has insurance on that, and then that starts falling, and then one other bank was buying that person's assets, and then that starts to fall, and there's a snowball effect that occurs. So let me just show you the breakdown here. You can see corporate bond funds with more than 60% BBB bond exposure. Just giving you a list of those if you're interested. There's quite a few, and while these aren't trillion-dollar investment companies, it just shows you that you start to have some of these fail, and then the problems will add up further and further. Proportion of BBB bond in index rises. This is showing us from 99 up until 2018, just giving you an idea of where this has gone. That's the percentage of investment grade. Looks like over 40% today. I wanted to give you an idea of where things are because everybody is talking about a crisis. Know what's going to happen. Yes, it's going to happen. Why is it going to happen? But nobody really understands that there needs to be a trigger. Just having excessive amount of debt doesn't necessarily do anything. The fact that the Federal Reserve printed 4.5 trillion plus the 16 trillion plus several more trillion. They're not allowed to talk about that. People get triggered. And that doesn't necessarily create a crisis. But what happens is that you have a trigger, could be anywhere, like last time, subprime mortgages. This time could be corporate debt. Next time it could be something else entirely. I don't know. I don't know what the event will be. But when it happens, you start to have that counterparty risk that could really unfold it all. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, you're supporting this channel, so I do appreciate that very much. And last but not least, if you want the financial education you were not taught in school, the financial education that was kept from you intentionally, well then, you just read these two books and you got it all. So check them out at the link in the description. You're going to be able to find out all about the history, the asset classes, making money, reducing your expenses, so much more. Check them out at the link if you want the audiobook that's available at themoneygps.com.